All right. Well, I'm Trisha Brand, and I am based in Chicago. And we have two folks here today from Chicago and Fernando out in Dallas. And Vitaliy, if you can go ahead and go to the next slide. Thank you. And something exciting for all of you for joining. Each of you will be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. And I am the strategic partner at Trend Micro, working with all of the consulting partners and with AWS, and looking forward for today. Um, so why are we here? AWS reInvent, they had about 70,000 people there. That makes for a lot of excitement, but also a lot of noise. So we wanted to take a quick 30 minutes to help you boil it down. So today we're going to welcome two trend experts. We have Fernando Cardoso, who's our Director of Product Management, as he says hello from Dallas. And we have Vitaliy Shtym, who is here in Chicago as well, and he's our Director of Cloud Solution Architects. And, we want to help you better understand some of the key takeaways from last week and help you build your 2025 strategy when it comes to security in the cloud. We all have been witnesses to this journey, and we know where it is going. And when it comes to security in the cloud, things are changing and really evolving. So Trend wants to help set you up for success. So in the next 30 minutes, here you can see on the slide, we'll have Fernando and Vitaliy touching on these key points. So now we're going to go ahead and dig in. And I'd like to welcome Fernando, and he's going to tell us about going beyond. Thanks, Fernando.
Thank you, Tricia. Appreciate it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session. Today, I want to just cover a couple of the key elements that we were talking during the AWS reInvent, but also the key elements that we have been launching across the different months on the last year, right? One of the important points that we have been talking with our customers, it is the aspect about going beyond the CNAP, right? In this specifically point here, it is demonstrating how we have the agentless capabilities on the left side with the CSPM, with external attack surface, AISPM, CIEM, and a couple more capabilities that we delivered last year. And also we also launched during the AWS reInvent. Additional part here, it is the right side with the runtime capabilities, with the file security, container security, and many other pieces that we have inside our platform to contribute to this new modern CNAPP approach to the customers. When you think about this new methodology that we have been working with customers and how we are helping them, the first part it is conducting the cloud risk assessment. A lot of partners are using this kind of dashboard where they integrate with the customer's environment. They can quickly identify risks in their devices, internet-facing assets, accounts, applications, but also in the cloud assets, right? And then you can create this risk index information about their risks details, comparing with the different organizations in the same area, in the same vertical, also in the same sizing that the company are being testing the platform. But those can bring a very easy understanding of their cloud risks, right? Inside the AWS, Azure, GCP, and Alibaba Cloud. One of the important pieces here, it is the aggregation of a massive amount of information, not just from the regular cloud misconfigurations, but we are also contributing with the vulnerability information from the cloud assets, the malware scanning, the CIEM details with the infrastructure entitlement and the permissions that they have in the cloud environment, the AI SPM, it's basically the security posture management for the AI technologies inside the cloud infrastructure. All those details are combined here to help the customers to identify their cloud risk index. Then we break it down between how many AWS, Azure, and GCP accounts that they have, how many detections was identified in the last 24 hours around the threat alerts and also XDR alerts, the potential attack paths that we were able to identify from like the correlation between the CSPM, the external attack surface, the agentless scanning for malware and for vulnerabilities, all that aggregation, all that like processing of the normalization of the data, helping us to identify and like mapping the potential attack paths that could be coming from the outside to the inside of the customer's environment. And we quickly showed the customers how many was identified per cloud infrastructure that they have. Then we break it down between the misconfigurations and also the vulnerabilities that was detected on the cloud VMs, containers, and serverless assets. And then we have like a quickly visibility on the regulatory for compliance. Some organizations, they just need to follow the compliance of like a PCI DSS or HIPAA or NIST, and they want to have like a full dashboard for all those accounts in one single spot, but they can also change on the top left like which specifically accounts they just want to see those compliances layers and mapping. As part of like this Synapse visibility, we also bring the asset risks with the highest amount of like risks in the cloud infrastructure. This way, customers can easily dig in between virtual machines, data storage, serverless, and all the other assets that they have in their cloud accounts. Then we break it down between each specifically cloud account. This way, you have like an overall risk information for each cloud account, vulnerability, threats, misconfiguration, compliance. Okay. This is a pretty nice dashboard where a lot of partners are utilizing to like kick off the conversation with the customers, helping them in like basically 10 to 15 minutes to integrate with their cloud account and generate those risks information to help them to mitigate, to generate some services that can augment the connection and the partnership with those customers. Okay. When you think about like those services and how many those services in AWS we support today, we support over 80 different like services doing those risk aggregation and misconfiguration. And if you think about the new release that we did during the reInvent, couple things it is important to think about. It is the ASRM for cloud with the CIEM capability, ASRM for cloud with the DSPM capability to identify and evaluate potential risks, but also the aggregation of the AISPM with the Bedrock, SageMaker, and the additional services from AWS, right? When you think about AI journey in AWS, you think about Amazon Bedrock, you think about like SageMaker, and a couple additional services that can help customers to quickly identify or create the innovation in the cloud infrastructure, right? Those services we are collecting the information about the vulnerabilities, those misconfigurations, and we are bringing as part of the cloud overview and the CNAPP visibility that we created. This way, you can have like a dedicated visibility for all the risks coming from the Bedrock, from SageMaker, and all the workloads connected with those services from AWS. Here's like a quick visibility where you can show to the customer how many cloud accounts, cloud services, workloads, models, data storage, and entitlements are being related with those AI services that they are building in the cloud infrastructure. On additional on that, if you think when customers are building their AI infrastructure, right, there's a couple more elements than just like Amazon Bedrock or Amazon SageMaker, right? There is the underlining or the additional cloud assets that they are creating. It could be Amazon S3, AWS Lambda Functions, SNS queues, or SQS, AWS App Runners, EC2s, containers, and so on, right? But those elements also need to be monitoring. Usually we have like a CSPM and CIM technologies to monitoring for misconfigurations and overly permissive informations on those specifically assets. You have the agentless vulnerability and malware scanning for those assets. But also one of the important things that I mentioned, right? It is the DSPM. How can you help customers to identify if there is any sensitive information on the S3 that is being used as part of the training or as part of the database vector creation for those AI services on AWS? That's one of the key elements that we launched last week during the AWS reInvent. Additional with that, the AI-SPM part, it is collecting this information and generating the risk insights for those risks related with the AI services. The AIDR part, it is basically correlating the CloudTrail information from like Bedrock or SageMaker and applying the detection models on top of that, helping the customers to detect any suspicious activities between those services and the additional services from AWS. This way, customers can be notified and basically creating workbenches for additional investigation by the SOC operations teams in the cloud anytime when like a suspicious activities could be occur with those additional services using the AI technologies on AWS. Okay. Um, Now I wanted to pass to Vitaliy for him to go over a couple of additional new releases that we did during the AWS reInvent. Vitaliy?
Thanks, Fernando, and thanks everybody for joining and taking your time with us today to learn about um, some of the innovations that we're going to share with you today. So I'm going to focus a little more on some of the things that we released for reInvent and before reInvent. I'll talk first about XDR for cloud and AIDR. So that allows us to do proactive monitoring. We have models that are specifically designed to identify suspicious and malicious events, like we do for all the other aspects of the Vision One platform, to be able to highlight potential risk for the business and make it proactive for the security teams, the operations, to make sure that nothing malicious is really happening. With XDR for cloud, we have released the integration with SecurityLake. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. But being on the floor at reInvent, that was a very hot topic to discuss. We had a lot of conversations with customers and with AWS employees to be able to show the value. We are a consumer of this data within the platform. We're able to tie all of those connections from this dispersed areas of the environment and paint the bigger and better picture for the customers. So finally, the container security. We have the ability to scan on demand and scheduled for container for runtime containers when it comes to malware. In addition to scanning in the pipeline, making sure that nothing gets introduced with the packages as the images are built, we are now able to also provide that protection in the runtime. I mean, we always had the ability to identify things that are messing with containers. If there was something that is trying to install additional packages, do some kind of attack on a container, we'd be able to alert on those as well, and we can still do that. But now we're adding additional value in being able to scan things in real time as well. So I'm gonna see if, next, please. There we go. So as I was saying, we have these models that we call them detection workbenches and detection models that are processing all that data, and we're painting the picture for the security teams to quickly understand what impact is happening within their environment. In this case, we have AI-specific ones when it comes to Bedrock and SageMaker, and those are a little bit different. One is kind of just Bedrock is specifically used by companies that they don't want to train their own models. They just want to use kind of off-the-shelf capabilities that AWS provides. And then the SageMaker is more custom tailored approach to building models for more advanced or larger organizations. They want to have more tailored models for themselves, for their use cases. And we're able to help with both of those use cases to make sure that the guardrails are in place, that they're not being attacked or misused. Next. And we have also integrated Atlas MITRE mapping into our platform. These are specific. Those who are familiar with MITRE, it's been around for a very long time as a threat categorization for techniques and tactics in traditional IT and cybersecurity world. But MITRE has come out with Atlas Matrix to help identify attacks that are happening against AI ecosystems. And we're able to connect those dots as well within the platform to make sure that the security teams are able to understand what is happening, because it's such a new technology for everybody that it may not be obvious right away how important or how significant something is happening in their environment. Next. And going back to Security Lake, you'll notice that we have had integrations with things like CloudTrails, Flow Logs, and other data sources from AWS. But now we can do that in one go by integrating Security Lake, and that goes through our detection models. It goes into our data lake to enrich all the existing data as well as create actionable intelligence for the security teams to make sure that no low-level incident or low-level security risk goes unnoticed. As you can see with the different stages within our data processing pipeline, before it gets to the end user, it gets enriched, qualified, quantified, and to make sure that the actual security analysts, operations teams don't have to waste their time on noise and distractions. And one of the important things about security is how easy it is to deploy. And we've made it extremely easy. As you can see, in this case, it is a CloudFormation template that customers can deploy in their environment. And all they have to do is one toggle to enable additional functionality if they need to. It is extremely flexible for customers that have organizations or single accounts and combination of all of those different scenarios. And they can, by running the CloudFormation template, they can within minutes get the value out of the platform and start identifying threats and reducing the risks that would be proactively increasing their security posture. I see there is a question in the chat. Yes, those slides will be shared after the session. And one of the other releases is EC2 Image Builder that we have worked with AWS to make the support available, to make not just the cloud infrastructure and agentless capabilities that we have extremely easy to use and leverage, but we also can now leverage the EC2 Image Builder to deploy and help the customers test and roll out the security on their compute as easy as they would for the visibility in their account or agentless capabilities, which I didn't really talk about too much at the moment. But we can do agentless vulnerability assessment as well as agentless malware prevention to things like EC2, Lambda, EBS. Next. And a couple of other new releases. We have the security incident response specialization. Trend has had an extremely powerful platform for a number of years now when it comes to incident response. We have fully built in case management as well as incident response and forensic capabilities within the platform. A lot of solutions out there can only do one of those capabilities, but our platform is capable of doing all of those, and that reflects in our incident response specialization that was awarded to us by AWS. One of the awesome capabilities that was recently added is a pay-as-you-go pricing, and we were listed with Vision One platform on the marketplace that consumers can now procure it as they consume the product, like they have done in the past with some of our services before, and they can do things like consume CPPO, or other procurement vehicles. And those can be done through local currency as well. Next. And some of the key platform differentiators that we're going to cover is cyber risk management. Fernando mentioned that in the very beginning, that we're going to be providing the risk score from everything that we consume. We can show the organization, are they improving or not, and be able to help them reduce that risk score. There was an internal, some statistics done that the chances of, for example, ransomware incident increase by X amount of percent if your risk score is above the mean of the industry. We are going to be releasing some of those specific statistics in the near future, but there is an actual measurable impact that we can show that having a risk score significantly higher will increase your chances of an incident, sometimes by multiple factors. Like I mentioned, we have multiple layers within the platform to consume that data, but we provide it in a one holistic, tailored way to the security and operations team to be able to process it regardless where it's coming from cloud, from network, from third-party sources or any of those are all processed and presented in the same common language to the user. So there is no need to relearn different things based on the source of information that is pushed into the platform. Some of the other things that I didn't really talk about is third-party integrations. We talk about AWS, but that is open. Vision One is an open platform that we consume a lot of third-party data, and we can consume even more. Basically, anything you can imagine can be consumed by Vision One and processed through our engines. And I think this is the last section for me, and I'll turn it over back to Fernando to cover some of the security for AI things. Thank you.
Thank you, Vitaliy. I just want to cover like one of the things that I during one of my sessions at the AWS reInvent, I launched this new security for AI blueprint that talks about like a little bit of like what is LLM applications, how to integrate security into AI applications architecture, some of the AI attack surface in actions that we are seeing from customers' conversations and also from our own research, threat modeling for LLMs that was basically utilizing the WASP Top 10, the new one for AI. And I also try to put together basically like in the multiple conversations with the customers, how we can build AI blueprint for securing your AI environments, right? There is like basically 6 different layers and with additional details about like why those are important and how you could be implementing to help you in your organization. And then I also added like a link redirecting to the Learn architecture from our threat research team that they did an amazing job like demonstrating how you can create your own RAG and all your own LLMs, and which specifically frameworks or additional things that you should think about like to protect those environments, right? This is like just basically the 6 main layers that I talk in this specifically blueprint architecture. We don't have time to go to each of those, but I just want to like highlight here some of the key elements on that specifically paper that maybe can help you to think differently about like securing your data, securing AI models, how you can secure the AI infrastructure that's underlining of like the AI models, additional security for the users and the local AI apps that the users and the employees are utilizing today, and also the network connectivity between the users from outside to inside, right? How you can protect the content that it is as part of the prompts, but also any kind of like exploitation trying to execute against any vulnerability in the infrastructure that you are running for the AI environments. I think those are like some of the key elements that we have been talking with customers as layers protection for the AI infrastructure, and that could be a good way to starting creating a better maturity for your AI infrastructure.
Yes, thank you, Fernando and Vitaliy. This is really exciting. A lot of great information. You broke it down in a very simple way so we can digest this and, you know, continue building our plan with our partners for 2025. So appreciate it. So for, you know, as for next steps, we will send out these slides. So David, wonderful question there. Everyone will have the slides here, and we'll, you know, get all of these different, you know, information to you. So we do have some different handouts as well. But go ahead and book a meeting with your dedicated trend account manager, and we can dive deeper. We can target specific customers together and build out a plan. So we can, you know, replicate the wonderful win that we showed today, right? Working closely with AWS and with you, and expanding and uncovering new partners, customers together. So our Trend Vision One, there's our QR code to learn more. But again, we will be sending a follow-up email. We'll also make sure to be announcing who won the $100 Amazon gift card as well. But you can talk to your Trend account manager too about incentives and spiffs that you might have. Every, you know, country is different of how that is run. So we can share more of those details one-on-one with you. But thank you so much for your time today and for joining. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, I don't know if there is any additional question. Let me double check the chat here if there is any questions.
Doesn't look like it.
No?
Doesn't seem to be.
Okay. If no further questions, appreciate it, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us and have a great week.
Thank you all.
Take care. Bye-bye.